here it is. Men rule the world at work. Whether you're in construction, whether you're in IT, whether you're in engineering, whether you're in banking and financial, whether you're in insurance, whether you're in healthcare, typically, generally, men rule the world there. That's their playground. Have you ever gone into Home Depot and you get like on aisle 9 and all of a sudden 3 people in orange smocks come up to you and go, do you need any help? And you're like, you might be like, yeah, I do. Where's the fitting for this thing? I brought in the gizmo. Can you show me where the gizmos live and I'll go buy one because I need to replace my gizmo. And some women are like, I know what a hammer is and a nail is. Thank you very much. Go away. Person in smock. The point of that story is when you as a woman walk into Home Depot, they know you don't belong there. They know you're out of your element. Chances are they're right, unless you're really, really handed. Chances are they're right. And I will tell you, the office is like that. Particularly in very male-dominated, male-centric organizations called boys' clubs. They know you don't really know the rules. They know you don't really kind of belong. So when you walk into that, you're really in their domain. So it behooves you to figure that piece out. It behooves you to join in and figure that out so that you can figure out how to work with them. So this is the data that's a bit shocking. So get ready, because when you read this, when you see this, when I present it, some of you might have a reaction that's anger. So here goes. And this is in 2014, so this is like 4 years ago. But it's still very appropriate. Harvard Business Review did a survey, did a report, went out, surveyed all these executives, men and women, at the vice president level. These are accomplished executives. And they said equally to men and women, how do you feel about each other? How do you feel about each other's meetings? Okay? This is what they came up with in the survey. Men said, in meetings, women really need to be concise and to the point. This is interesting. Men said, generally, we are afraid to give you any kind of criticism because we are afraid how you're going to react. We think you're emotional. You might get upset with us. We don't know how to handle that. They said, we would really appreciate if you are going to speak in meetings, you're so stiff, you're very formal. If you could just speak more naturally, we would appreciate that. If I challenge your idea, you become defensive immediately. And we don't like that. And then we go back to bullet point 2. We're afraid of how you're going to react. We think that you may not be as confident as us in meetings. We don't really know why. And generally, as men, we see women as emotional. So, okay, that's fine. So let's hear the same executive women. Let's see what women had to say about men in the same meeting. In the survey, they said, you know what? We ask for feedback from you, and we don't get it. We're not acknowledged, and we can't get a word in the meeting because you guys are all talking amongst each other. So I can't even participate in the meeting, and that's a concern for me. We are not emotional as women. We're passionate. We're trying to prove our point. We're trying to make a point, make a statement here. We, as women, when we leave the meeting, we obsess over it for days. I'm in that camp. Are you in that camp? Have you laid in bed and you're like dead dog tired and you're so exhausted and all of a sudden your mind goes and you're replaying the whole meeting. What did he say? What did he say? What did he say? What was the look on that person's face? And what did you say? Should you have said that? And maybe you shouldn't have. And God, is that going to cost you the promotion? Are you going to get on that project? Do you do that? Do you do that? Well, let me tell you something. They don't. They don't think twice. They go home, they have a couple beers, and they go to bed. We don't do that, so that's a note for us. Maybe we don't need to do that. The other thing that women said overall was that we're outnumbered at the table, ultimately. And I bet every single one of you in this room feel like that when you go to meetings. So I'm going to take a pause for a second, and I want you to see a little bigger picture of this. So if women say, you know, we don't get feedback from you, and we want that, and we're not emotional, we're passionate, but the bottom line is men are afraid to hear. They're afraid to hear us, and they're afraid to give us any feedback, right? So how are we ever going to make that work? We're viewed as emotional, you know, we're viewed as an emotional, high-strung woman, but if we ask for feedback, they're already afraid. So we did something to create that. This did not come from nowhere. So ultimately, what it comes down to is perception. It's really simple. I think we make it really hard, but it's really simple. But it's subtle. I mean, it's really, really small and subtle. What are you saying? Why are you saying it? Are you too quiet in the meeting? Are you that brilliant woman wallflower? I've met many of you as clients. Are you bossy, bossy, apple saucy? That's what my husband says. Oh my God, Elizabeth, bossy, bossy, apple saucy, I'm not in the mood. Are you the, or he also calls it the chicken charge. There's a lot of women that are the chicken charge in construction. Okay, I'm kind of the chicken charge. But there's a way to do that. And there's a way to do that gracefully that you can still be who you are, have a personality, have a brain, say what you need to say, and not have a negative perception that's going to hurt ultimately your career.